Okay. Yeah, we're live. We're live. All right, guys. Welcome back to our crypto segment where we talk about everything happening in the market. A lot has been happening. Today is Monday. Most times, naturally, we expect the market to start pumping on Monday. Especially from
And
your
the
end,
market,
what's
the
been
market
going on?
is the market is already pumping, right? Because now Bitcoin is around 106, and
Yes.
we've seen a couple of other tokens also move. Now you know that we are hoping that Bitcoin doesn't pump, that Bitcoin
Yeah.
doesn't go up. Just maintain a flat line or a
Yeah.
range, and then give time for alt to pump. But we are seeing Bitcoin, make the move to the upside. But there is this news that we are hearing about. The U.S. government was on shutdown. That
Yeah.
they will
Yeah.
be coming. They will be coming back from the shutdown. So many people are calling it the sell the news update. Some people are excited about say that things are going to start pumping. We've
Yeah.
seen tokens move. Even World Liberty Finance has actually
Yeah. So
moved
so many
today.
tokens, have started moving. I think that's news about calling off the shutdown of the US government was a major catalyst because yesterday in the clubhouse we are saying that BTC was at that resistance zone again around
Mhm.
104,500 with a stop loss slightly at 105,200 for people that want to short. But we're still saying it that there's a huge chance that it will break because that's the third time it was tapping on that particular zone. So there's a huge chance that it was going to break. So people need to still be very, very careful how they kind of like treat that particular zone. Suddenly this news came up about calling off government shutdown. And immediately
Mhm.
we saw that huge force and BTC went above that zone. So I think this is actually good for the market, for Bitcoin holders. Now we're seeing more bullish news about BTC, some platforms or firms that are looking at purchasing BTC, adding more BTC. That's one crazy thing with this market. Whenever you start seeing this upward movement, you just start seeing some news, almost like they've been waiting to drop that information, but they were waiting for
Yeah,
the right
yeah.
time you get to drop the
Mhm.
information. But me, I don't believe that most times it's those news that come after the market has started pumping that eventually made the market to start pumping. The only issue I have now with this Bitcoin move is if it continues to like 110, it would suck liquidity from some other odds that were trying to like either break out or get back to their previous high that they were at around October before we saw that
Mm.
huge dump. Some of them have repriced, some of them are back to that level, but most of them are still far below that level. Like red, for example, red is
Yeah.
still way below that level, like very, very below that level. I will still have a few others too that are still like NMR that we discussed last time is still below that level. So the worst thing that will happen now is for BTC to pump to 110, then dump back to 101 and
It's going
102.
to be catastrophic for some alts that has not even
Yes,
fully recovered from the last retrace.
most alts will suffer from it. I was looking at LTC last night when it got to 113. BTC was still at 104.5. And immediately BTC started pumping early hours of today. Litecoin started gradually retracing. Okay, because some way, somehow, people will just start pumping funds back to BTC, or some persons will start exiting some altcoins. Okay, they'll start taking profits. You get some will just be a bit skeptical on what to do and what not to do. So it's quite unfortunate when BTC decides to pump when most of these alts were just looking at bouncing back. But yeah, let's just briefly look at them trends today, coins that are pumping today to see if we can identify a trend. So I'm about to just share my screen now. Yeah, you can see my screen, yeah?
Yeah, sure. I can see your screen.
Okay. So if we see today, the FDV of the crypto market is slightly above 3.6 trillion, which is really impressive. Zcash is still holding on very well. BTC is almost at 106K now. Let's look at the top gainers to see if we can identify anything that's happening there briefly. So we can still see privacy coins like Decreed, still a privacy coin, still holding up. And we can see Stacknet. So I think the list is kind of random. The
Mm-hmm.
list we're seeing right now is kind of random. We're seeing like different projects because FET is an AI project. So it still shows that Research Coin is bio. It's on the side of DeSci. So Power AI is AI related. Pump Fund is memes. Okay, so if we look at top, okay, all coins, I'm sure we should see more of meme coins here. Yeah, I'm sure we should see more of memes. Yeah, we're seeing just basically some random trillions is on a different chain. What's the name? Plasma, some plasma. So basically, what we're seeing in the markets right now, one thing is certain from what we can see here in the market. Different projects are actually moving, reacting to BTC move and BTC price action. We have different coins that are actually moving. So there's no specific trend. Please, is my audio clear? Just to be sure.
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay. There's no specific trend right now in the market. And looking at what to expect, I would say it's still best to focus on some very, very solid pairs and solid bags rather than trying to chase some new coins that are just trying to spring up. Okay, because most of them, the pump will not be sustainable. But for me, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not jumping into any fresh projects right now. I'm not jumping into any new coin or any fresh project. I'm not interested in doing that. I'm basically evaluating some that have exited the position with my capital and profits, and also searching to see if there will be any clear direction. But specifically, still to share my chart a bit, specifically, I'm quite observant on what Orai would do today. All right, I'm very, very observant on what it's going to do.
You know,
I'm
we talked
expecting
about
some,
Orai's token, that's LFG, going live today. Well, I've checked
yes.
their Twitter. I can't even see any news, confirming that they will be going live today. To be honest.
Well, they can't exit this week. They can't exit this week, however. But my eyes are peeled on all right. I'm actually expecting it to like run up to this level. That's what I'm expecting from it. And I do expect that LFG to be like a huge catalyst. It's at 1.38 right now. I'm really, really expecting it to like, you can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm really expecting it to get to at least between 12 and $14. Yet I'm expecting a huge breakout above 4.5 and a rally up to this zone. So I'm expecting that to happen this month, starting from this week. That's really what I'm expecting. And that LFG for me is going to be like a huge catalyst to make this happen. While for red, like I said, I'm still focusing on the bags I'm holding. For red, I'm expecting red. If you look at any clearer charts on trading view, you notice that it's trying to break out. I'm expecting red to take off to around this zone, zero point 0.5. I'm expecting it to take off to zero point 0.5. I won't be surprised if it goes above, but I'm literally expecting it to at least move all the way to zero point 0.5. That's my stance on red. For NMR, let me see NMR. For NMR, it hasn't reacted yet. Like for the past almost a month, NMR has just been at the same spot, just playing and ranging. But however, I'm expecting it to react to like $20. That's where I'm expecting it to bounce back to minimum $20. Now I expect most of these pumps to be like very, very swift. I expect them to be swift, like really fast once it starts moving. Now, a particular projects that have been swinging for a while is Aura by Virtual. I was hoping to see a lower price, but it's refused to dump lower. But yeah, what I'm expecting from Aura, although I got in slightly below 3M, still holding. I've been swinging it for a while. I got it around August or so below 700k market cap then, and I think I sold off almost at 6M last month. That's why I sold off 7M last month. So now that it has corrected to this range, I'm looking to swing trade it. That's what I'm actually looking for, to swing trade it to. Got in at almost at 3M, and I'm expecting it to most likely bump back like 6M, or I won't be waiting for that 6M. Most likely at 5M, I would exit. Now, a project that we do swing trade a lot. I think we also spoke about it yesterday. EVA, it has even moved. It was 1.7 yesterday. It was 1.7. Okay, it has moved a little.
Eval is just the
EVA
only
is very
crypto,
good for.
sorry, only Chromia token that is actually performing, to be honest.
Yeah. But personally, I'm more of swing trading it because it has better predictable zones that you can buy, sell. As long as you're not playing too much capital, though, you won't go and buy it with 10k dollars or 5k dollars. No. You won't do that. You can use like $1,000 or 1.5, at most $2,000, so that you won't end up moving the price yourself. So it's best when you're putting maximum 2k. If you go and put 5k, you pump the market. So it's best to put between 1k, highest, if you ask me, highest 2k, because sometimes the volume can get to 40k, 50k, sometimes the volume can get that high. So it's really good for swing trading, yeah, because in the market, one strategy that I use a lot in this market is you want to ensure that at least you're making money irrespective of whatever is happening in the market. And the best way to do that is to be able to play different narratives, different ecosystem. You don't need to trade every coin, by the way. Just have like some specific project. I think your network, is it your network or mine?
I don't know. I
There are
think
projects that,
it's breaking, but it's
can you
fine.
hear me clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I
Okay.
can hear you.
So there are projects that tend to, all right. So there are projects that tend to range. Now you want to find those projects and trade that zone that they are ranging as frequently as possible. For me, if you trade that zone 2, 3 times maximum, you can let go of that project because there's a high chance that afterwards it's going to break out of that particular zone. I've noticed it several times. By the time you trade that particular project, let's say like Sora, I will just briefly share my screen back. Let's look at Sora. Yeah, you can see my screen now, yeah?
Yes.
You can see my screen now, yeah?
Yeah, we can see your
Okay.
screen. We
So
told
if
people
we
to
if we
get into
notice
Sora.
Sora Oracle, can you hear me?
Yeah, I believe there's a little bit of lag,
Can you hear
but
me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I think maybe the lag is coming from the StreamYard, and I feel so because my network on other devices it's very fast, like very fast. Yeah. So if we look at Sora, for example, it has like good range that you can swing in and out as long as you're not too greedy. Get it has very good range. I think the first time we started interacting with this project was around 1M. or slightly below 1M, but around that price when we first called it on Clubhouse, and it ran to almost 8M. Yes, after which it
Almost
did
10
like
M.
a brief correction. Yeah, it did a correction and pumped again to about 10M, pumped to about 10M afterwards. Then when the market crashed last week, Monday, I think last week Monday, that the market crashed. It crashed all the way to almost 2M. Yeah, which was where I got in again, and I exited at 5.2 or thereabouts. That's where I exited. The issue that is most persons they want to maximize the full pump. You can't know where to exit in every coin you enter. You just can't know where to exit. It's not even possible. You can't tell where there will be like a rejection. It's not even possible. Yes, you can attempt to like use the charts to tell where there will be like some resistance zones. I'm trying to see if I can open the actual charts for Sora. Let me share this actual charts. Just let me briefly share the charts so some persons can see what I'm about to explain clearly. All right, so I'm sharing my screen now. Can you see it?
No, your screen
Please
is
let me
not
know.
actually live.
CoinGecko Terminal.
No, it's
Can you
not. I
see
think
it?
the moment you clicked on it, it went off. It's just dark. It's not coming up.
So, someone is saying it's
Okay,
very clear.
it's live now. It just came up.
All right, all right. So if you're, I just wanted to show something here. So like this Sora now, this applies to other coins by the way. You can't be able to like 100% time where to exit. It's not even possible. And that thing is, even if you're able to identify where there's a resistance zone, it's best you exit before it gets to that resistance zone. So, like in the case of Sora, after I got in, I could see very well that there was like a resistance around this between 5M and above. I could see it clearly, but I did not wait for it to get to these 5 points. It's I exited at around 5.2. Personally this week, I think, on this live stream. On the day of the live stream, it was I think 3.2 or so. The next day, or that's midnight, that same day at night, it went to 5.6 or thereabouts. And the next day it was still around 5 point something. So personally, I did not wait for it to get to the max price. I just had to exit before it got there. Sometimes for you to see that is when I go to a lower time frame, like maybe 1 hour, that's where that's when you might be able to see it clearly. I go to about 1 hour. Yeah, so if you go to 1 hour, you see here that it has like a resistance around this zone. But for me, there was no point waiting for it to get there. I just had to exit when it started getting closer to that point. And yeah, I was up almost 100%. So most people would want to see how they can maximize everything. It's not even possible. It's not possible. And for the zones we're waiting for, you see that clearly we're waiting for it to get back to like the last point that it took off from. Yeah, which the last time it took off between 2.5 or 2 point something and 3M. That's where it took off from. So once it's back to this zone, you can now start thinking of getting back in. Either gradually, for me, I prefer doing a DCA, get back in gradually, or you can just get back in all at once. It depends on your strategy. But for me, I prefer to get back in gradually. But for this Zora, I haven't gotten back in. Reason, I still have a moon bag that I left. I still have a moon bag, which is like a strategy we have shared that when you get into a project and let's say you're 80% up or 100% up, rather than closing the entire position, if you want to, you can do. What me personally I prefer doing in most cases is I pull out my capital, I take some profits, maybe I take 50% and I leave 30%. there as a moon bag. Most times, that is what I do. So if it keeps going higher and higher, I will still keep taking profits gradually, gradually, gradually. But if it doesn't and it dumps back to my entry, I can now weigh my options of, okay, should I get back in with part of the profit I took, or should I just let it be? Yeah, so for that now, before I conclude, you now have to go to their Twitter to check what the project has been doing, if they've been consistent, which are for Zora. Let me just briefly open them, Zora Twitter. You now have to go back to their Twitter to check what they've been doing. Are they actively building, or are they about to abandon the project? You might still do a bit of on-chain to see the holders, if the holders are dumping or not. Let me share the Twitter screen for Zora. Okay. Can you see the screen? I just shared their Twitter now.
No, your screen is not live yet. But we just got news from Chromia talking about them hitting 150 million transaction. I don't
That's
even know
interesting.
if, yeah, it's interesting, but then most of these their announcements doesn't have effect on price action, to be honest. So
Can
yeah,
you see
we
my
can see
screen
your
now?
screen for Sora.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, like in the case of Zora, by the way, this applies to other projects too. You can now jump down to see, okay, it's sitting around support right now. What are they doing? Are they still building? Are they still actively tweeting? Do they have like an update upcoming? So you can now see the new stuffs that they just pushed. Yet how you can create or tokenize your own agents. They just dropped this 3 hours ago. Yet you can see all of this and you can go through it. You can see if it's something worth it or not. So the point is, you can now decide if you want to jump back in. You can also see the application for listing on CoinMarketCap. It's actually been approved. I think so. But how it's been completed. You can now check to see some other things. Afterwards, you can now decide if you want to bag the project at that entry point. So most of these things is not like just guesswork. There's like an act behind it, and there are things that we look for before we jump into those projects. Like I said, it's the same thing for every other project. So like just the same thing. Like we're talking of like CHR. When I say CHR just hit, wow, we just reached 10 minutes 20, 10:20 rather. You were saying CHR, right? They just reached 100 and something million transactions. So
Yeah.
in the case of Chromia now, the challenge there is most of those their transactions are coming from either the game, you get the game, because in the game, whatever people are doing, because you have like two games on Chromia, Minds of Da and My Neighbor Alice, whatever people are doing is being logged as a transaction on the blockchain. Almost everything that people are doing there. So you find out that in their dApps, if you go to Chromia chain on chain and you look at their dApps and you try to like rate the dApps that have the most transactions, you find out that it's the gaming ones or the ones that are doing DeFi. Those are the ones that have like the bulk of the transactions. But in most cases, those transactions don't necessarily in the early stage equate to traction or volume coming in. But
Or
it
even
just
monetary transactions. Yes.
yeah, but it just means that at least people are using the chain, they are users, there are just some metrics that they are tracking to show that they are making progress. But about Chromia, let me share my screen for Chromia now. About Chromia, I actually believe it's going to pump. I sincerely do believe that Chromia will pump. So I just shared my screen now. Okay, you should see it now. Let me search Chromia out. I actually do believe that Chromia would pump because it hasn't also moved. It hasn't. Still around 7.6 cents. Yeah. I do believe that Chromia will pump. It's still very, very undervalued, like really, really undervalued. And I think the most interesting thing about the Chromia project is at least the team, they still have funding. Yeah, they still have funding. For them to have bought back almost 200K or more than $200,000 worth of CHR.
It's
For them to
around
do that buyback.
400K worth of CHR. It's crazy.
So for them to do a buyback of around 400K, that was last month, and they are still planning to do subsequent buybacks. It shows that they still have some good funding to get, and they are also trying to build utility that interacts with real world usage. That's what they're trying to do with the Chromebooks, with eval, and some other products that they're trying to push. So, truthfully, it's going to take time. It's going to take time, but I do believe that long term, what they are building will pan out well, if you ask me. So, before we round up, do you have some things you want to share because of time? Time.
No, not really. I don't have any other thing to share at the moment.
Okay,
So
for those
let's see how Highz this thing plays out this week, and hopefully we see some movement or price action from Highz.
For those watching questions, do you have questions? Those watching, you can comment because we are just about rounding up. We have already passed 20 minutes mark. And also for those watching, we do this every morning, 10 a.m. till 10:20. Today it's almost 10:27. So feel free to share the link once you join. You can share the link, invite anyone you want to. Feel free to bring projects that you want us to look into, maybe research or look at the charts or talk about it or something. Yes, feel free to bring those projects. And it will be good too to join early so that if you're bringing those projects, you can just drop them in the box and we can quickly look at it before the time gets too far gone. So someone is asking, do you think WikiCat is a long-term project to bag? I think someone asked this yesterday on Clubhouse. Yeah, so for WikiCat, I think it's actually good as long as you're getting in below 70M. Yeah, now it depends on what you mean by long term. Long term to make what profit? Is it 500% you want to make, or 1000%, or is it 200%? Also, how long are you willing to wait for? Yeah, so these are like some questions that you should be asking yourself. Then, lastly, your entry point is very, very important. If you're getting in below 70M, which is very possible to get in below 70M, if you're getting in below there, it's easier for you to make good returns as it starts going up. But if you're getting in at 105M, you have to wait longer because at 200 and something, which I think that's the all-time high, 200 and something, that will just be barely 100% profit. So these are like some things you need to pay attention to. Someone said we talked about Polkadot's airdrop last week. Any updates? Polkadot. Are you sure it's Polkadot? I can't
Yeah,
recall.
yeah. You just have to check the Polkadot X page because it's some form of human verification that they will be
For
giving out
creators.
tokens for. Yeah,
Okay, for
so
creators.
just check their Twitter page out, and then you could get more information on that.
Yeah, someone is asking about Aura. Yeah, you need to be sure which Aura because there are two Aura. There's one on Solana, there's one on Base. And the one on Solana, I think, is over 100M. It's also on other exchanges. The one on Base is not on any exchange, it's only on Base. And that is Virtual by Aura, be Aura by Virtual, something like that. It's a good buy. It's good as long as you're not getting in at 4M. You're looking for an entry between 2M and 3M. I talked about priceless the last time and it's pumped. Yes. So priceless is good. It's actually good. And it's also on other exchanges too. Also, the Sora I just talked about, is it a good buy too? Yeah, Sora is actually a good buy. It's back to our entry range, which is around at 3M. So it's actually a good buy. We just looked at it now. We just checked and the team just pushed some tweets and all. So it's a good buy. Can you please provide clear entry setup, stop loss, TP for futures, trade, signal, whatever? Yeah, I think we'll look at this. Talking about this, so let me briefly just share a trade that I took yesterday. Maybe you might want to jump on it. Let me just briefly share my screen. This is the last thing we're doing, and after which we're ending this today's live stream. So let me just briefly share this. because the trade might still be valid for most persons to join. Please confirm if you can see my screen in about a minute, because I'm just about to add it. Can you see my screen, please? Can you see my screen, please?
Yes, yes.
Okay, the challenge now is for me to bring up this list. Let me see. This is a challenge now, because I really use this on this device. It's on my tablet. I'm mostly using this. Okay, this is the list. All right, so Avalanche. All right, good. So this trade setup, for those that are interested, maybe in futures trading, you might want to. So this is like an Avalanche setup that I took yesterday. I took it on two different accounts. One is short term, one is long term. Short term one is about to hit TP. The short term one is just about to hit TP. So that short term one is no longer valid. This is a short term one. It's almost about to hit TP, which is here. But the long term one is still very valid. Let me switch to 4 hours time frame. Yeah, so you can see the long term trade is still is still valid. So for those that are interested, you might want to join me on the trade. So the entry points are quite clear. You can see the entry for the long term is about $17, and the exit is at 21. By the way, I'm expecting Avalanche to go above that $21. I'm expecting it to go above this, while the stop loss is around 14.77. That's where the stop loss is around. So for me now, like this trade, what I'll tend to do is once it starts approaching this 21, I tend to either use trailing stop loss to trail the price in case it wants to go against me, or I can just adjust my stop loss once it gets here, because I believe if it gets here, it would most likely go above this. Yes, there might be a little correction, but to go above it, that's what I expect. So I will just keep adjusting the price. So even if it gets to this point, I won't close the trade automatically. I'll just adjust my stop loss to be trailing it. And if it keeps going up, I'll keep adjusting my stop loss. So I remember this because of the person that asked about trade setup, stop loss, and other stuff. So if you want to, you can join in on this trade. Yeah, so I think that's all we'll be taking for today. I think that's all we're taking for today. Any other question? I don't think there's any other question. So don't forget, guys, we do this every morning, Mondays to Friday, 10 in the morning till 10:20. It's supposed to be 20 minutes, but sometimes we may go beyond 20 minutes. And soon we'll be bringing other speakers that will join to share ideas, even those that are into airdrop farming, to share like some airdrops that they are farming, and also maybe a brief walkthrough on how they search for these airdrops and some things they look at before jumping into most of these airdrops. Yeah, so expect to get like more value subsequently on this live stream. Ensure to share the link, invite anyone you want to invite, so that they can also gain value, and also bring your questions. Like I said, try to join early so that you can drop your questions on time and we can go through it, or any projects you want us to briefly look at, or also any charts you want us to look at, you can maybe bring it up and drop it on time. So that's all we'll be taking for today. Thanks very much, guys, and see you guys same time tomorrow morning. Bye bye.
Hi, guys. Bye.